Welcome to Aiken Business Matters, and we are pleased today to have with us as our guest Janet Covin and John Carman. John is the incoming chair of the Greater Aiken SCORE, and Janet is one of their certified mentors with the program. But welcome both of you to the program today.
Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to this because there is a great need in the business community to have a real understanding of what it takes to put together a new business. There are a lot of folks today that are talking about entrepreneurism and starting businesses, and I hear young folks all the time talking about wanting to start businesses out of college or even while they're in college. And the Chamber has done a really good job with their Young Entrepreneur Program to help give insightful guidance and direction and a path forward for those young people that want to start a business, just to learn how to do it and what it takes to do it. And I know you have an ongoing relationship with the Greater Aiken Chamber of Commerce and are involved in a lot of things with the Chamber. But SCORE stands alone. And John, if you would, just give us a little insight as to what SCORE is all about.
Well, SCORE is a national organization, and we like to think that one way to describe SCORE is that we're the all-volunteer arm of the Small Business Administration. So nationwide, there's over 14,000 volunteers, and volunteer mentors is usually how we describe the folks who are in the SCORE chapters. And here in Aiken, we have about 40 volunteer mentors serving the local small business community and entrepreneurs and people who are just thinking that maybe they want to do this business thing and get something started. And we work with nonprofits as well as for-profit organizations.
I think that's something that most people don't realize. But the local organization here, I've had the pleasure of meeting and also speaking in front of your group, and I was amazed at the number of mentors that you have in your organization, and you said there were 40. That's pretty big for a community our size, is it not?
It is. We're very proud of the membership, and in a way it reflects the richness of this community, that we have people who are willing to serve as volunteers, but also experienced. And they bring that experience with them to share with others in the community. So that's what we're about.
Well, SCORE has a rich heritage, and I think in our early discussions, you'd indicated that the SCORE itself is over 50 years old. Now, how many years has the chapter here in Aiken been in existence?
Well, I think Janet's got that number right on the tip of
Yeah.
I love those numbers.
Yes.
Definitely well over 10 years. Right around 2004, we established this chapter officially. However, we had been at work in the community prior to that.
Okay. Janet, how many years have you been involved with SCORE?
Actually, a little over 2 years in total. Yeah, and it's been a wonderful experience.
Yeah. You know, I think our viewers would really appreciate knowing a little bit about both of you. So why don't you start and give us a little of your background and your personal history, Janet.
Well, I am a rare escapee from Nebraska,
Oh.
as is John. It's highly unusual to find two of us in one place.
Two Cornhuskers right
That's
here
right.
in South Carolina.
Never happens, never happens.
So we just look for the cornfields and we can find out where you live. So.
Pretty close. So I escaped a long time ago and have lived all over the United States. And I've just been so lucky in my professional life to work for some very exciting entrepreneurial small companies in the technology industries and marketing services. And part of the fun thing about being part of a small company is you get to have so many wonderful experiences. So I was able to have hands-on responsibilities around marketing and sales and business analytics and business needs assessment, just a broad range of experiences, which when I started looking for a way to engage in the community, I thought might have some value. And I looked around and found SCORE, and have been working with them as both a mentor and some other capacities as well for the last couple years. It's been great.
John, how about you?
Well, I left Nebraska when I was 17. I still have family there and think very fondly of Nebraska and what it meant growing up there. But I went off to the Naval Academy, and so I didn't see Nebraska a whole lot after that. My wife Karen would tell you exactly how many moves, but I think it was 14 moves in a full Navy career all over the world. And after that, I went to work back for the government, but I also did some work for NATO as an independent person working as a civilian for NATO. And I found my way to Afghanistan and Iraq several times, shall we say.
Wow.
But the focus of my expertise has been in communication activities. So developing strategic plans, working through the difficult challenges of how to convey information to important to us people. And along the way, I was brought into an organization that also valued mentoring and training and professional development in people. So as I left government service finally and came to Aiken, SCORE for me was almost a natural fit based on what I thought was a great way to serve, and in this case, continue to serve this community now that I'm proudly an Aikenite living in South Carolina. I tell people I can root for Big Red, but they never know what Big Red I'm talking about. So that's as far as I usually go.
Yeah.
Now that you're in Aiken, what are your thoughts about Aiken? I always enjoy, as someone who is a native Aikenite, there are a few of us around still, but I'll have to tell you my story. I went away to college and I just came back to Aiken 8 years ago.
Wow.
So it was almost like reinventing Aiken for me. And we find out that the more Aiken has changed, the more Aiken remains the same, because the substance and the quality of the community is still here. It hadn't changed. It's just gotten bigger and I like to say better in many ways.
Well, that quality in the community is what the biggest attribute that Karen and I found getting settled here. And then it had some strategic advantages. I had a son, our oldest lives in the Virginia area, we won't describe it further.
Right.
And a daughter who lives in Tampa, Florida. So we're almost right in the middle and have access to the family that way. And then it was the richness of this community, the variety of things here, the quality.
The quality of life is outstanding.
It is, and it's
Really.
remarkable for a community of this size, even
Yeah.
when you expand it to the entire county, as you probably should expand it to the entire county. We found that it was really without peer, that a community of this size was this rich. So it came to be a good fit for us.
And for my husband and myself as well, we've lived all over the country, and we settled on this area after doing extensive research when we decided to sort of pick a spot. And we haven't regretted it. It's beautiful, the people are wonderful, and we see over recent years the tremendous growth that's been going on. It's very exciting. So it's fun to pick up the paper and see what's going on
It
next.
is. And you know, people saying, well, why is he asking them all these questions? Because to be a good mentor, you have to have a good grasp of what the dynamics are in the community that you're living. True?
It's very true.
Janet, what do you think about our business climate in Aiken?
Well, I've read a lot of the media about that,
Sure.
and our mayor, has
Right.
had some comments on that as well. And I think that I'm excited that that we're looking forward to an upturn.
Right.
Obviously there are challenges, and we've been a little bit behind, the timeline on the rest of the country. But based on the things that I've been reading and the people that I've talked to, it's also an exciting time. And I really think of the CSRA area because we're all connected, and I see many things happening in technology and new businesses coming in, the Aiken Mall being redone. That's very exciting kinds of new restaurants, and the people that we talk to who want to start new businesses. I think that's all very exciting.
Yeah. Because when you have growth, you have opportunities for entrepreneurs
That's
to
right.
come in and take advantage of new things like, and the Savannah River site just recently, with the Department of Energy, made an announcement that the National Lab is going to have an advanced research facility that's going to be built on the university campus, and certainly somebody with your background in technology, that has to be an exciting thing, because there are going to be a lot of ancillary companies that will need to be in place that aren't there now to support that organization.
That's right.
Well,
It
having
is.
a university in a city of this size
Right.
is really significant.
It is.
And for us, it was one of the big attributes, because it also brings life and vitality to the community. And if you look at the next step or step after next, you want to have some number of those younger folks stay here and become a permanent part of the community with jobs and then starting their families and so forth.
You know, and you hit on a great point that has been made over and over again, is that how can we retain our young folks in the community? And I always have to look at myself. When I was that age, you know, graduating from college, why didn't I stay here? There wasn't anything that was in my field that was here to keep me. That's really changed, and the things that are going on at the site, the things that are going on with education here. I mean, a lot of opportunity for young people either to be directly involved or start their own businesses, and there's all kind of service industries that'll need to be in place to support. And I know, Janet, I know you and John probably heard that, you know, there's several new housing developments that are looking to build here in Aiken and different places. So, you know, we've got more beds and heads and around town that are going to be here to support the community. And,
It's exciting about what the education part of the community is doing to help its students and to connect the education with the business,
Right.
and to develop programs that'll ensure that kids coming out of schools today, high schools, junior high, into the advanced education, whether it's a 2-year school, a 4-year school, have skill sets that are in demand locally. They'll keep them here, they'll have their families,
Right.
the community will grow. Just feeding into what you're saying.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to focus solely on the 4-year experience, because Aiken Tech is also a real gem here.
it really
And
is.
the
You're right.
programs they offer, and the quality of graduates, and the extremely high percentage of immediately employed graduates that come out of there that choose to go into the labor force right away, rather than, you know, they have another track that will send them to a 4-year program.
Yeah,
And-
it's exciting.
Well,
It really is.
we get young men and women that come out of these education programs with Aiken Tech, Augusta Tech, that start off making as much money as 4-year college graduates.
Yes, they
They've just had more specialized training in a more concise way, and it's good. Plus, they also offer opportunities for advancement into 4-year degrees, because you can get your 2 years and then you can transfer
Swing
to
right over.
one of the universities. So it's we're rich in that sort of thing. Do you have training for your mentors while we're talking about education?
That's a good question, and the answer is yes. So we have folks come that are quite experienced, typically, but also some of our volunteers are still working people,
Right.
and are not the same place in life that Janet and I are. And in fact, about a fourth of our 40 people are still employed in the community here. But once they're interested in SCORE, we do have a bit of an orientation process. So everybody has the same understanding of what it means to be a mentor. What's the approach to successful mentoring? And then we also have a code of ethics that we're responsible for signing up to, because a lot of the information that we get exposed to in working with clients is somewhat business sensitive. And so our code of ethics holds us to a very high degree of confidentiality when we're working with clients. And that opens up the flow of information so that we can really kind of get our hands in there and help businesses.
Well, I think, that was a great question. I was going to ask Janet that, the sensitivity of the information. You come from the technology side, and boy, the cybersecurity and everything is is
Extremely important.
Oh, it is today.
And it is to our clients, you know, and we take very seriously our confidentiality agreement and our code of ethics, as John was saying. And it's important that people know that when we talk with them, and we make that clear right up front, particularly for small businesses that we're working with, where we may have established an advisory board. And we work with a lot of very confidential company information with them as well. And I think that it helps that we have a standard of training and a standard of ethics.
You know, I hadn't thought about this until you both were very forthcoming about the ethics part of it, and I appreciate that, because if I'm an individual, and I don't have to be young, it's any age, people come up with good ideas, good business ideas. And I think I have a very unique idea. I would feel very comfortable now, after hearing what both of you have said, of coming in with an idea that was, I'm worried about somebody taking my idea and stealing it. I guess that's the only other way to say it.
We do have a number of clients that are also looking for what's the next step with my idea. And it may be unique, or it may be kind of parallel to some other things that we're aware of in the community.
Right.
So we can serve as a connector, and we don't transfer the information, but we get people together that might form interesting relationships, positive relationships in a business environment. And sometimes that serves everybody well. We can sometimes be viewed as a bit of a touchstone for an idea, and then, you know, we're not going to be in business with the client. We're not allowed to do that, even though some of them sound really good, that maybe that would be a good thing to do. But we get them in touch with others who will hopefully be able to advance their business and their ideas, and like I said, form partnerships.
Right. And with 40 people, 40 professionals, mentors that are in one organization, I'm sure the networking within that to see if somebody has something, or do you ever start with somebody and then hand them off to somebody else because they have more expertise in an area?
Yeah, that's actually, that segues very nicely into a description of how we work with our clients and the resources that are actually available to our clients.
Good.
When we start off with a client, there's a pathway. They come to us, we learn about what their needs are, and we then reach out to others in our own chapter, and also we have access to nationwide resources within the SCORE network itself to deliver the resources and the expertise that we feel our clients need, or that they've said that they need. And so it's not just one person that they come and talk to who may or may not have a background in what they specifically need, but they have access to a plethora of resources to help them move forward.
So as an example, in an initial session, we would typically have two volunteer mentors meeting with the client. And it's mostly a listening session. So we want the individual to tell us what their idea is, or where they are in their journey towards either a for-profit or a not-for-profit business. And at the end of that session, then we've given them also some feedback on the idea. And then there's usually a follow-on meeting or resources that are opened up. So if it's not local training that we or the Small Business Administration, for example, might do, then there's online training and resources that are available. And in some cases, as Janet mentioned, we have mentors across the country who are willing to mentor at a distance based on specific interests or needs.
Right.
It wasn't long ago that we had someone who wanted to start a production company. You know, they're big into local theater and events of that sort, but they wanted to grow their idea to the next level. Well, we had a mentor in Knoxville who did this full-time for a career, and then was serving as Knoxville, Tennessee, serving as a SCORE mentor. And so that became part of the connection, the network then that the client left the meeting with, was an opportunity to talk to somebody who's really, really an expert in exactly what I want to do.
And do it every day.
Yes, exactly.
How often do you meet with clients?
Oh, that's a good question. On an average, I would say it's about 6 to 8 new clients a week. We meet total, because we have follow-up meetings,
Right.
and we also do advisory boards with existing companies. So now you're up to about 12 or 15 sessions a week. Would you say that on an average,
I think so.
Janet? So that's a large level, if you will, of activity going on. And we couldn't do it without our partners here. Here in Aiken, we're really blessed by being partnered with the Chamber of Commerce in particular, because they bless us with the facilities that they share with us, and they provide some other resources that make it work. And in North Augusta, we're partnered with the Chamber there and also with Southern Wesleyan University, because they're blessed with nice facilities, and their programs are mostly evening programs, and we're running mostly day meetings and training workshops and so forth. So it's a very good merger.
Well, it sounds like it. Who funds SCORE? Because I know that you don't charge for your services.
That's right. Thank you for pointing that out. There is no charge for any of our services, and in this chapter, we don't charge for any of our workshops. So everything that SCORE touches in this community is at no cost to anyone or any client. We get a small stipend from the national organization that flows from Congress through the Small Business Administration. Beyond that, we have local sponsors that help us out with some financial resources. And several of those are banks, because there's a very close relationship between a lot of SCORE's activities and banks with clients that need help or assistance in getting ready for a business and to be financially sound or worthy of a loan, so forth. And then the triangle, the third leg, is back with the Small Business Administration many times. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. On our website, we have a listing of all of our sponsors, and we are very grateful for our sponsors here in Aiken. They've been tremendously supportive of our activities. They also support us with experts, functional people to be a part of our workshops. And all of our workshops, the topics are vetted through the business community. Through the Chamber, we ask what are the needs of the business community, particularly for the first two or three steps on the ladder.
Certainly.
And so our partners and sponsors are very valuable that way, as well as the larger business community.
Now, I know that on your website you have these, but you have some great topics that you've got coming up in July. Starting nonprofits, how to develop a business plan, prevention of business fraud, which we were talking about earlier, and the healthcare reform for small businesses and insurance needs. And I think you also mentioned that too.
Absolutely.
Those are some very timely, very needed topics, and things that people that are starting a business or already in a business need to have these. Because so many businesses, and you mentioned this earlier, that it's not just startup businesses, but that you also work with existing businesses too.
We do.
That's right.
We provide volunteers, the same mentors, or core of mentors that serve as advisory board members on typically small businesses that have requested that service. So very frequently it's an outgrowth or a distant follow-up to an earlier relationship that the business had with SCORE. And then they realize that we're successful, or maybe we're having some challenges, but I don't know where to go for further ideas. And they don't have a board of directors.
Right.
Small businesses they're not able to do that. So this is the first cousin to that, having an advisory board. And we bring in expertise through our volunteers and meet periodically with a business. So quarterly is kind of a regular rhythm for these types of meetings. And depending on what their needs are, we may get into the financials of the business. We may get into the marketing. We may get into, customer development. You know, you're doing well with what you have, but how do you go to the next level? and we bring in some folks to assist them in that way, depending on what it is that they want.
Right. Now, Janet, when you have these meetings as a quasi board of directors for these groups, do you give them a list? Here's your checklist, and we want you to bring these things to the meeting.
Well, these meetings are driven by the business owner.
Okay.
And designed to meet their needs. So we take our cue from them.
Okay.
But we do give them homework from
We
time
do.
to time, or
Well,
suggest
that's, you
that
know,
they.
that goes without saying that you do give them. They get homework, yes, but it's really homework that they want to have. It's,
Gotcha.
you know.
So I'll give you one example of that. We've had several meetings with a small business, and it has about 9 or 10 employees. And we mentioned or touched on financials in the first meeting. Second meeting came up. Third meeting, the business owner volunteered that the next meeting he would bring the financial documents, the current financials for the company. And when that occurred, then we go, aha, we now understand you're in better shape than you thought you were financially.
Oh, that's good news.
And we have some ideas, and we can also direct you to a resource person outside of SCORE that might be very valuable to you.
Right. You know, so many businesses today are their success, if they're a service industry, in keeping up with technology, keeping up with the times, keeping up with the current demand of buyers. And so if I own a store and I'm selling product X and product X is on the way out, are you there to help them decide what their next product should be, or the next inventory change should be to make them market worthy again?
I think what we really do is we help them understand the need for that, to recognize where their business is going, and to then assess which direction might be the best direction for them to go in. Wouldn't you say that's?
I would.
Yeah.
And another common thing is someone who's got multiple ideas, and they're having trouble finding a single or a priority within the
Right.
multiple ideas. So we coach them into what's most viable of the 5 things that you want to do right away.
Right.
Sometimes we have folks who have signed a lease for a location. They don't have supplies, they don't have product, they don't have services organized. And we go, ooh, let's look at it a little differently and make sure that we do this in a reasonable sequence.
Yeah. We help them understand what they need to be thinking about in order to take an action that's going to benefit their business.
Both of you have had a number of experiences in the real world and then in the mentoring world. And I say real world, in real world application and in the mentoring world. So I'd love to hear from both of you, unless you both agree with each other. But Janet, what do you see as the biggest mistake that a new business makes?
For someone who's looking at a startup, I would say there are 2 things. First is to really step back and do an assessment of the market opportunity.
Okay.
People just seem to oftentimes jump in with both feet. Someone says, hey, you know, you make the best biscuits on earth, and they go, oh, that's great, I'm going to go open a bakery or a biscuit shop or a restaurant. And what is so essential is to be able to step back and to look at what is my business idea, you know, who's already out there doing it, you know, to really assess what that opportunity is and how many potential customers there might be, and what's the revenue opportunity. You know, to consider those things before they move forward full bore. And then fundamental to either a startup or an existing business is a business plan. You know, and we are the mantra, you know, do the business plan, but it is so essential.
And we help walk them through the process of the
Yes.
business plan, even if it doesn't become a full-up plan.
We
Part
help
of this
them manage
process
that,
is
yeah.
also, when they've come to SCORE, many times it's the first time they've seriously discussed their idea outside their family, dining room table, faith group, what have you. And we, in the listening and coaching, mentoring mode, give them some feedback and have you thought about this? Or straight up encouragement. In some cases, they have an idea that they know works in another location. So my uncle in Seattle has this going on in his neighborhood, and we think it would work here. Sometimes that's a great idea, sometimes it's not so great, and sometimes it just needs some serious help coming along.
The start of a new business carries so many different challenges and so many different opportunities that I guess it's very difficult to harness the enthusiasm with the practicality of starting a business. And that's where the mentoring comes in. How do you tell, it's got to be really a tough thing to keep from curbing the enthusiasm but bringing the reality of what really has to take place.
That is sometimes a challenge, because you
is.
don't want to put out the flame that's just starting to burn.
Right.
And still allow it the greatest chance
Yeah.
of success by ensuring they think about some other things.
Now, I can see both of you are very passionate about what you do and are very nurturing in what you want to accomplish with people, and that really takes a special skill, and you certainly are both very well spoken, very communicative, and but I will say, John, if I was going to get bad news, I'd rather have it come from Janet. So
I would too.
Not really. I had to say that, but you both really are great examples of what the SCORE program's all about, and the information that you have been able to give us today, I think, really kind of takes away the mystique of what SCORE is all about and lets people know that you're out there to help. It's not anything other than good people giving their valuable time to enhance our business community and young entrepreneurs, because you never know when you're going to run into the next great business that's going to start as a result of sitting down with you folks and getting a good start. It's hard to get a restart on a business. I've seen it happen on occasion, but it's very tough once you start a business, because you're establishing yourself and your reputation. And one last thing I want you to do to share with our viewers is you recently won several awards, and our time's short, but I wanted you to give our viewers an idea of what quality this SCORE group has.
Thank you for mentioning that. The quality of this community and the volunteers we have has allowed us to be recognized on a state and region and a national level within SCORE. So we've been accorded a recognition of the finest SCORE chapter in the state of South Carolina, and we have been given a recognition on a national level that we're one of 40 chapters out of over 1,000 chapters to be recognized with a certain level of recognition and effectiveness in their community. And then we were asked to put together a package to be considered as the SCORE chapter, the national SCORE chapter of the year. And the feedback was that we were close, and that we actually were graded out number 5 out of over 1,000 chapters in the country. And that their expectation was that we would continue to excel in this community, and that nationally the SCORE organization would look to us to help illustrate some of the innovative things, some of the meaningful things that we're doing in this community that can be done elsewhere in the United States.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you that if it just is a really a star in Aiken to have an organization that is of the quality, integrity, and passion that you bring to SCORE. And we are proud to have you as a part of our business community to help in fostering good business practices in town, working with new and existing businesses, and then to be recognized as being a mentor to mentors. So that's a neat process to think about.
It's very exciting.
But
Thank you, John.
congratulations to you and the chapters, and we wish you well in your job
Thank you,
as
John.
the new incoming chairman. And Janet, thank you, and I know you're going to keep John on task.
Oh, she does that, and she's also the one who provides the fuel for the engine. So
There you go.
The engine
Yeah.
doesn't run well without Janet.
But thank y'all so very much for being with us, and thank you for being with us today on Aiken Business Matters.